Welcome to it, sports fans. It's a different ball game. With me, MKT. It is 7:30. What a time to be alive. 7:30, and we are in lockdown. Believe it or not. The face you can see over there is Maponyane, looking as good as ever. We'll get to him. He is our guest. He is on screen right now. But we'll get to you a little bit later, Maps. We've got about half an hour before we get to you. And then we'll have a chat. So stay with us. Maps Maponyane, the guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. A different ball game. What a pleasure it is to have you with us. I am Bulelo Tinta, and I am joined, of course, by my co-host, the lovely Woude Muller. Woude, how are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm good. Thank you. And you? You look good.
I'm great. I am absolutely great. I've had such a good day.
Nice. Good.
What about you? What's the story?
No, I had a busy day and my house is an absolute mess because they're redoing my tiles. Never do that. Never, ever do renovation.
So don't renovate your house ever, basically.
No. Not
wow.
If you can move out and let people renovate, fine. But don't try to stay in the place when you're renovating.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. That's solid advice. All right. If you're gonna renovate, get out the house. Fair enough. No, I got you. Woude, good, solid advice. Well, let's get to it. Woude is now redecorating her house. How does she have any money post-lockdown? Who knows? Don't really want to get into it. Good for you, Woude. You've been scrounging like a squirrel in the winter. What are we talking about today? So I'm going to, on every single Friday, I will give you my top 5. I call it the Friday 5. So today we will do the greatest strikers in English Premier League history. But following that, Woude will talk about the rugby. Of course, rugby is back, like full on in New Zealand, right? The stadiums are packed. Jacinda Ardern says, packed. Everybody come on in. Let's have a good time. Let everybody have a good time. So we're going to talk a little bit about the rugby, the weekend. Of course, Premier League is back and it is in full force. But before we get to that, I told you I'm going to do my Friday 5. 5 greatest strikers to ever play in the English Premier League. That's what we're going to start off this week with, and we're going to get to it. So here's my 5 greatest strikers to have ever played in the English Premier League. Yeah, let's get to it. At number 5. Listen, this guy scored the most goals in the league, 260 of them, bucket loads of goals. He scored tons of goals for his hometown club after taking Blackburn to a title. At number 5, ladies and gentlemen, the man who has scored more goals than anybody in EPL history, Alan Shearer. At number 4, listen, this guy should get a prize just for putting up with Diego Maradona as a father-in-law for a couple of years. He's been unbelievable. He scored the most dramatic winner in Premier League history, and he's got the greatest goal-scoring record in terms of goals-to-game ratio in the history of the Premier League. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 4, the great Sergio Kun Aguero. At number 3, easily the greatest strike partnership that has ever been formed in the English Premier League. Right, Nigel Benn called himself the Dark Destroyer, when in real fact, this man was the real Dark Destroyer. Of course, took United to 5 titles. He was the mainstay in 4 of them. That treble season, the thing of mythological legend. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 3, Andy Cole. And at number 2, listen, this guy came to the Premier League. The whole league had to change formation. The entire league had to go from 4-4-2 because of this guy. He was an absolute game changer. Clubs are still looking to replace him. This particular club is still looking to replace him. They thought they had their guy, but he wasn't the guy. He is quite simply the greatest at being one man up front. He's a human wrecking ball. He one season in 05-06 had the most assists in the league. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. At number 2, Ivory Coast's greatest, possibly Africa's greatest of all time, definitely Chelsea's greatest player of all time. At number 2, Didier Drogba. At number 1, there is no argument here. Not only is he the greatest striker to ever play in the Premier League, he's quite comfortably the greatest player to ever play in the Premier League. Nobody made it look as easy as this guy. He went by Vava Vum. Quite simply, the greatest player the Premier League has ever seen. He looked like he was in silk slippers as opposed to clogs of the defenders. He was unbelievable. Started on the left, cut it on the right, and you knew the rest. The greatest striker, the greatest player in Premier League history, and at number one of the GOAT, the greatest strikers of all time, Vava Vum. He was the leader, of course, of the great dynasty, the Invincibles. Ladies and gentlemen, the king, Thierry Henry. There's never been anything like him. Clairefontaine's greatest, I believe, Clairefontaine's greatest product of all time. I hate to say it because I cannot stand Arsenal, but when you're this great, he separated himself from the rest. There was nothing he couldn't do. Number one, Thierry Henry, the greatest of all time. Quite simply, the greatest striker the Premier League has ever seen. And as I said, the greatest player the Premier League has ever seen. Dave, give me that top five again. That's my list. Tough to argue. I don't know who else you get in there. You're going to have to do incredible things. The guy at number 5 has the most goals in the league. You almost have to have him there. At number 4, I mean, Aguero is Aguero, right? I think he may move up that list before he's done. Andy Cole's Andy Cole. Drogba reinvented the league, right? He reinvented the league. He was the Magic Johnson. He was the LeBron James. One man wrecking ball. But none of them, all 4 of them put together, are not Thierry Henry. They are not Thierry Henry. He is quite simply the most phenomenal thing I have ever seen. £12.75 million Arsenal spent, and they changed the game. £2 million signing on fee turned to £14.75 million. The best money ever spent in the Premier League, arguably speaking. Thierry Henry. Henry, Drogba, Cole, Aguero, Shearer. That is my top 5. I love making those lists. Football is back. Premier League is back. United, Tottenham tonight. It is fully back. Now it's like fully back. We were warming up with the little teams, Arsenal, kind of getting bashed by Man City. But now we're back. We're all the way back. We are all the way back. That is my top 5. Let me know on the socials. Let me know on social media. What do you think? So if you've got a different opinion, send your tweet at Cliff C Sport. At Cliff C Sport. Send me your tweets. What do you think of my top 5? Dave, give us that list again so people can have a look and they can tweet me their top 5. We will read your comments later on in the show. Shearer at 5, Aguero at 4, Cole at 3, the great Didier Drogba at 2, and TT, Clairefontaine's greatest ever product, Thierry Henry. Led the Invincibles. He's just, 4 times Golden Boot winner, right? 2 of those were European Golden Boot. There's nothing like Henry. That is my list. Henry, Drogba, Cole, Aguero, Shearer. That is the Friday 5. You will get a top 5 list every single week. I love making those lists. I'm a football nerd. I absolutely love doing. I'm a sports nerd. You're going to get all sorts of top 5s. All sorts of top 5s. Stay tuned. But now we're going to go over, because rugby's all the way back. It's all the way back. Jacinda Ardern has opened New Zealand up to the masses, and she is hot to go. She is hot to go. With that, I send you over to Woude Muller with the skip pass.
I don't even watch football, and I know that Henry is the best player. That's how good he is, if you know. But
when you know, you know.
When you know, you know. Today, it's a Friday, and we're looking at the headlines of the week in rugby. The headlines today is a little bit different to what you might think. It's a little bit more on the admin side of the rugby. So the first one is that Arias is suing South African Rugby and Western Province Rugby for 183 million rand. Just to back up a little bit, Newlands got sold and Western Province Rugby was going to move from Newlands to the Cape Town Stadium. So in all of this, a lot of things have happened. And now this is on top of this. So Aerios is a commercial rights broker for Western Province Rugby. So they basically did all of the advertising for rugby, for Western Province Rugby at Newlands. And they were also going to do it at Cape Town Stadium. Now they are saying that SARU endorsed the liquidation of Western Province Rugby, and that released the union from the contract with Aerios. In that way, SARU could use SuperSport and their, let's say, rugby sponsors to be more involved again. Look, why are you suing a union that's got absolutely no money, that's absolutely bankrupt? What do you think you're going to get out of it? I mean, Western Province Rugby owes Remco, 53 million rand, and they owe 50 million rand to Investec. So good luck with that if you want to go suing someone who's got no money anyway. The next topic is that World Rugby has installed or launched an independent review committee to analyze the effectiveness of the current governance model. It sounds all great and everything, and it was part of Bill Beaumont's re-election campaign. But Bill Beaumont, who's the chairman, Limpard, who's the vice chairman, and Brett Crosby, who's on the committee, are part of the independent-led governance review. How do you have someone on your committee and they have to review themselves or what they are doing? How is that an independent review in any way? So that just makes absolutely, it's like when you do a maths test and the next day when you're in class, the teacher says, oh, you can mark your own homework or you can mark your own test. This is exactly what's happening here. They're just going to say like, oh, don't worry, we're doing a great job, because they're reviewing themselves. So I think that's really stupid. And then the final one is that in moving a little bit way north, America just took a very big step forward, and they're just becoming more professional than any other rugby side, is they actually did the first draft pick for Major League Rugby in America. So the Dallas Jackals, who is coming into the competition in 2021, just drafted Connor Mooneyham from one of the colleges to become their first player that they've picked to play in the Major League Rugby. Major League Rugby is really picking up in America. They're really doing well. And I definitely think rugby in America is something to watch. They've got the money. The Dallas Jackals is led by I think they're led by an investment group, if I'm not mistaken. So there's already money there. They're going to be big. Their sports science is on another level already. It will be really interesting to see what they're going to be able to do in the next few years. So Muller, on those headlines, what do you think?
Like that, America's getting involved. I've always said it, rugby's still amateur. So once the Americans get involved, they professionalize. And the great thing about Americans, they know how to turn everything into a product. Sport is a product now. Like this old school mentality of the boys drinking down at the pub, forget it. It's trillions of dollars at stake. Americans know how to package it. They know how to make the athletes professional. So that's fantastic. As for the Western Province situation, I mean, that's just a mess. So that's been a mess for a long time. So we'll see how they recover from that. But it is what it is. It's okay. There's billionaires. Let other billionaires buy the team. Can't afford the team? Get out. Get the guys out. Get another billionaire. Buy the Stormers. Buy Province and move on. That's how I feel.
Yeah, the problem is Western Province is not doing a very good job of keeping the billionaires that want to buy it. As we all know, Rupert wanted to buy them. They end up owing him money. They owe Investec money. So clearly there's something very wrong on the managing side of Western Province Rugby. How can you owe everyone money? So they would get 110 million rand for Newland Stadium, which is not a lot at all, but they're going to have to use all of that to pay back their debt. So that's just really stupid.
I don't think that's anything new. Like I said, rugby's so amateur that they're part of a systemic problem. The Stormers are not, they're not an outlier. Every single rugby union in this country, even the Bulls, aren't run very well, actually. People think they are, but they're not. So rugby in this country is a joke, actually. Administratively, it's a joke. So to me, it's not a surprise, is my answer.
You're saying it's a joke in our country, but look at what's happening at World Rugby level. Look at what Bill Beaumont is doing right at the top. So if you can't get your top right, how do you expect everyone else at the bottom to do a good job?
As I said, rugby's amateur. So the Americans are going to drag it into the future.
Yeah, I agree. But let's talk about something a bit more exciting. So the first weekend of Super Rugby was very exciting and such good rugby to watch. So it was a bit of a shock for me that the Highlanders beat the Chiefs, I must say. And that was even more exciting. And like I said, on Monday, I think Gatland is going to disown his own son for putting that drop goal over. But this weekend, the Blues are traveling to Hamilton to play the Chiefs on Saturday. And the Hurricanes are playing the Crusaders in Wellington. It will be the Crusaders' first game because they had a bye last weekend. The Blues played pretty well last weekend, and I think they were really strong in the second half. I think Black, their fly half, really controlled the game really well. And Caleb Clark, their wing, had a really good game. I think Barrett was pretty non-existent. He was just kind of there. I'm hoping he will be able to pick up again now that he's playing a little bit more. The Chiefs lost their opening match against the Highlanders, like I said, with a very dramatic finish with Bryn Gatland putting a drop goal over for the Highlanders in the last few seconds of the game. So that made it really exciting. But the matchup between the Chiefs and the Blues, if we have a look at that, Dave, the Blues have only won 1 out of their last 17 matches against the Chiefs. So the last time the Blues beat the Chiefs in Hamilton was in 2011. Tano Umaga was still playing for the Blues back then, the last time that they beat the Chiefs there. So I don't think there's a very good chance for the Blues to beat the Chiefs. You can see all-time wins. The Chiefs took 21, the Blues only 11. Wins in Hamilton, 8 versus 4. The last 10 matches playing at home for the Chiefs, they won 8. The Blues only won 3 matches away in their last 10 matches. And then their last meeting, which was beginning of this year, the Chiefs beat the Blues 37-29. The Chiefs team looks pretty much, well, not really the same. They actually create quite a few changes, but they did put Aaron Cruden back in the number 10 jersey. I don't think Trask did a very good job last weekend on 10. He didn't really control the game very well. When Aaron Cruden came on, he did a much better job. So that's very good for them. And then obviously Damian McKenzie at 15 is just impressing us more and more. For me, he's a really great player. When you look at the Blues team, they had to make 2 changes because of injuries. Tom Robinson got injured and Blake Gibson are both injured. So they did get Akira Ayoni on number 6 and Dalton Papili on 7. So I don't think that's a bad loose forward situation there. Don't know what you think of that, Mbolelo.
Yeah, very good. Tuyawani, he's explosive, both of them. But I think the best thing that they've done for the game is Rico Ioane needs to play 13 now. Because on the wing, he doesn't get enough of the ball. So it's actually a waste of him. Yeah. He is simply the most devastating runner in world rugby with ball in hand. There's nothing like him.
Yeah, look, Caleb Clark is pretty good on wing. I thought he played really well last weekend. But Ricky Ioane on 13, he's just such a great player, and then he's so big and strong. I really like him there. So maybe with him there, Barrett at the back, and 10, they stand a good chance. But from the previous record, I can't see them beating the Chiefs in Hamilton this weekend. So I reckon Chiefs probably about by 10.
I don't know. I saw what the Blues looked like last week. I think they look like a pretty organized outfit. I think the Blues are going to win comfortably. The Chiefs' tight 5 is dead. They have no tight 5. You cannot win in rugby without a tight 5. So as much as you've got McKenzie and Stevenson out wide, I think you saw the line out last week with the Chiefs. Just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, beyond amateur. That was like schoolboy stuff. I think they lost 6 of their own lineouts last week. You know, you can't win like that. So I see the Blues actually by 10 or more.
I don't know. Blues away.
Yeah,
they don't have a very good track record. Not so sure. I think the Chiefs will probably take this one. I'm saying the Chiefs, you're saying the Blues. So that will be interesting to chat about next week. The Hurricanes Crusaders game is on Sunday. So the Hurricanes discipline let them down last weekend. They were very poor in their lineouts. They didn't do much on attack. And the Crusaders are playing their first game this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to deal with the refereeing situation around the breakdown. You look at their matchup for the last few matches that they've played against each other. Dave, if you can bring that one up for me. The Crusaders obviously have 10 Super Rugby titles against one of the Hurricanes. So the Crusaders have won now 2017, 18, 2019, and I think they were pretty strong going to win 2020's competition also. All-time wins between them, 23 to Crusaders, 12 to the Hurricanes. Wins at home, 7 and 6. Last 10 matches, they're pretty even there, 7 home for the Hurricanes and 7 away to the Crusaders. And their last meeting, the last time they played was last year. They haven't played each other yet this year. And it was 30-26 to Crusaders. So it was a bit close to each other. The team is basically, the Hurricanes had to make 2 changes. Fifita is in at lock and Adi Sevilla is starting for the first time in the number 8 jersey after he had knee surgery last year. It'll be really good to see him back again. So that back 3 for me is pretty strong. The back line, I mean, they're not entirely amazing. And like I said, they really struggled on their attack last week. Not sure if they're going to be able to get through with that. The Crusaders, on the other hand, Scott Barrett, their captain, is still injured. He's out with a foot injury. And I'm not sure why Tom Christie is not playing. Do you know, Mbolelo, why he's not playing?
I don't, but it's Crusaders, no problems. Next man up. They're so well coached. Next man up.
I know. So Cullen Grace is playing, but I mean, Tom Christie is just an absolute tackling machine. I mean, you lose Matt Todd, the Crusaders, and then you get someone like Tom Christie. I think he had 111 tackles in the first few games of the Super Rugby this season. So that was just absolutely incredible. The Crusaders if you can bring up the Crusaders game for me, of the Matt team for me, Dave, you will see that Sam Whitelock is back from Japan. So he was in Japan for a short stint, and then obviously now that it's stopped because of COVID, he's back. And we've also got David Havili back. And that is exciting for me. So I think he's playing off the bench, but it will be really interesting to see him play. He had abdominal surgery last year. So, I mean, in the first part of the season, I think he had 14 offloads. I think it was 258 run meters and 45 carries. So the Crusaders team is really, really looking strong. Moanga at 10. I mean, just Severis at 14. There's no way. George Bridge on the other side on 11. Jack Goodhue, if it's not for his hair that you're going to be seeing, you're definitely going to be seeing him doing a little bit of magic on the field. So that team is really just, and being coached by, I mean, come on. What can you,
best coach in world rugby.
About this team. Yeah, absolutely.
Best coach in world rugby, comfortably.
Yeah. I've said before that the Crusaders team did lose a lot of players after the World Cup. Scott Robinson just knows how to turn youngsters into absolute stars. So, look, they are playing away. I would still go for the Crusaders to win, even though they are playing away. I've seen other people say the Hurricanes by 2. I don't know. For me, I think the Crusaders will take it. It will be difficult for them because they would need to get used to the new refereeing rules around the breakdown. So maybe that can count against them, but I just can't see them losing with that team.
Also, the Crusaders are this, right? Is discipline is a coaching issue. Don't ever let people tell you it's a player issue. It's always a coaching issue. The Crusaders are a system. It's next man up. They're not going to have a problem with the rules. They are an absolute machine. Dave, bring that team up because that Crusaders team is actually unbelievable on paper. I was just having a look now. Yeah. Give me the Crusaders team again. It is absolutely unbelievable what they got on the bench. For those who don't know, in Havili and Luke Romano, if you don't know who Luke Romano is, go and YouTube him because he's not human. He's from a different planet. He's an alien. But if I go through that, the outside backs of Reese, Bridge, and Eno are electrifying with ball in hand, right? Eno can play wing and is probably the quickest guy, maybe in Super Rugby, by the way. He is incredibly fast. But then at 12 for me, and it's not close, they've got the best center in world rugby. It's not close. Like when Tana Umanga was playing, he was so far ahead of the rest. Goodhue has now shown that he's not just a gadget guy. He is absolutely everything. He can play 12 and 13, the best in the game for me, and the best coach in the world. But I think the real battle to watch here is that hooker, because I've never thought Dan Coles was as good as people say he is. I think he's more like your Bismarck Duplessis, Malcolm Marx. He's exciting in the loose, but technically he's far too loose. And I think Corey Taylor's the best hooker in world rugby. So that's going to be a great battle. But Taylor's a different level.
Yeah.
Absolutely different level. So great game. And Crusaders easily, by the way. Crusaders easily.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. And let's not forget about Richie Mo'unga is probably the best 10 that we have at the moment. Yeah. So that back line is, oh man, I can't wait to watch this game. Absolutely can't wait. So obviously we have to remember that we are going to see the refs being very hectic on the breakdowns again. So there will be a lot of penalties, and for the breakdown, for the tackle law and for the offside law, but don't let that put you off because it's still going to be an amazingly good game.
Yeah. Look, I think the beauty of the Crusaders is they're so well coached that, and players hate to hear this, it's how the NFL dynasty that was under Tom Brady and Bill Belichick there in Boston, in Massachusetts, was built, is next man up. And that happens when you're coached. They are coached so well. The beauty of being coached well is the discipline factor means they adjust to the ref, right? Is if the refs are going to call it a certain way, everybody understands that Robertson has standards. You adjust to those standards. And well-coached players want to adjust. They want to do well. The Crusaders are going to blow them out. What's your call there, Vody?
No, I definitely think Crusaders. I haven't decided by how much yet, but I'm definitely going for Crusaders there.
Remember, folks, if you're at home and you are listening, we do have a Cliff Central brew. Go and check it out. Come and join. Let's have some fun. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll add some prizes. Who knows? Father Christmas will come down your chimney. But so go and join Cliff Central brew and let's play. Let's have a bit of fun. Sport is back. Jacinda Ardern is the real life Daenerys Targaryen, and she has set her people free. She has taken the chains off them and set them free. The stadiums are packed.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Vody. Good stuff. That is the skip pass for today. That is awesome stuff. I cannot wait. Vody, I thought you did a great job on that first game. I think that's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah.
But the Crusaders are just... I think the Crusaders are the best rugby team in the world. I think it's funny. I think they're better than the All Blacks. I really believe that. They are unbelievable. And I saw Blackadder there. That is another legacy player. Whitelock is about one of 300 brothers that have represented the All Blacks and the Crusaders. So great to see him back. The skip pass with Woude Muller. Very, very good stuff. Let us know. Maybe you agree with Woude. Maybe you don't. Let us know. Cliff C Sport. There's our socials. Hit us up. Cliff C Sport. After the break, ladies and gentlemen, the enigma I told you about. That's the only way I can describe this man. He's the busiest man alive. I feel like he is doing everything. Whatever he eats for breakfast, I want some. We'll chat to him after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you in a bit. Yeah, Maps is coming up. We will catch Maps in about 5 minutes. So if you want to go make a cup of coffee, we will see you with Maps in 5 minutes. Cannot wait to chat to him. He's got a lot to say. He's a Man United fan. So I have a lot to say to him. About his Man United. Let's see if it's a big club. We'll see what it goes. We'll see what happens with this whole, I'm a Man United fan. Are they still a big club? Are they still not a big club? And by the way, his dad was a serious footballer. Serious player. One of the greatest, if not the greatest striker this country's ever had. Of course, he did the equivalent of what Luis Figo did. Crossed from Chiefs to Pirates. My goodness. Goal meant goal. Maponyane. Can't wait to chat about all of that after the break. Nice.
The Gareth Cliff Show, live weekday 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. as well as in podcast. Gareth Cliff and his team bring you uncensored, real conversation about everything in the news, interviews, edgy material, and a healthy dose of inspiration and intelligence. To get in touch, email contact@cliffcentral.com. That's contact@cliffcentral.com. The Gareth Cliff Show, without limits. We give you entertainment, provocative content, and unhinged reality. The Gareth Cliff Show is available on cliffcentral.com, the Cliff Central app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's a different ballgame. You're back. Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying that tea or cocoa you may have made in the break. Cocoa, that's something I haven't had in a long, long time because I'm trying to get my summer body now. Speaking of a summer body, a constant, a 24/7 summer body. Let me introduce my guest. Let's not waste any time. Let's not muck about. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the original Mr. Big Chest. St. John's favorite son, the man who seems like he does everything, son of Goalman Goal, and now has become his own Maponyane. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Maps Maponyane.
What's up?
Come on, brother. Come on.
What an intro, Doc. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I've been wanting to come through for a while, and I appreciate you having me on.
Come on, brother. Come on. It's an absolute honor to have you on Maps. Hey, are you the busiest guy in the world?
I think, you know what? I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And even if I think about my actual name on my birth certificate, which is Masejo, and in Tswana, that means lots of luck or good fortune. That's just been, I think that's been a lot of my making in my career.
Hey, Maps, you know what I always wonder about you is, do you ever think to yourself, you're going to reach a level of handsome where if you walk past a mirror, it's going to be difficult to leave your house? Is that ever something that happens to you?
To be honest, I avoid all the mirrors in my house, man. I think it's just better that way.
Sound call, smart, because you want to do stuff. And if you look at your handsome face, hey, Maps, appreciate you, brother. I know your time is precious. So let's get into it, bro. Listen, I don't want to be told.
Thank you so much, man. I'm sorry about this. Yeah. There's a little bit of a lag, so I'm just going to try and make sure that I keep up to that.
All right. No, I got you. We will adjust to you, Maps. We will adjust to you. So listen, I don't want to be tone deaf, right? We're in a time now where we're in a real world. And I know you are an entrepreneur and you do have a space that's still in a tricky space. You've got a restaurant, right? Let's talk a little bit about Buns Out and what gave you the idea to open the restaurant. I know you've done so many other things. What was it that drove you to open it? And how has lockdown affected that? Talk to me about that.
To be quite honest, I've just always really loved food. I've always been a big fan of food. Grew up with my mom making my brother and I cook a lot of the meals at home. So it's always been something that I've enjoyed the experience of. To be fair, I've always said I eat it a whole lot better than I make it. But I think over the years, as I've learned more and more, I've made sure that I've learned the tricks of the trade. And I just always wanted to open a restaurant. I always dreamt of opening a restaurant. I saw there were so many gaps to do so locally. One of the things that we were trying to work against is the traditional South African restaurant that has like 60, 70 items on the menu that gives you choice anxiety. And we wanted to have something that specialized in one thing and was refined. And if you wanted to go for a specific meal and you felt like that, this was the first place that came to mind. And we wanted to be able to create that because if you think of a lot of places around SA, if you wanna go for a steak, okay, cool. Like you can go to a steakhouse, but the steakhouse probably does sushi, and the sushi spot probably does curry too. Like everyone does everything, and it's a bit of a Russian roulette of what you're gonna choose. So that's what we were avoiding.
Yeah, no, hey, great call. Whenever I go to like a steak restaurant and they got fish, I'm like, hey, what are we doing here? It's the amateur hour. Like, hey, I'm with you. Hey, Maps. Since you're talking about selling burgers, how the hell do you keep your body like that without becoming the fattest guy in the world? What's your story? Are you just like genetically given something that we aren't?
Jeez, I don't know. I don't know where to take that. I have no idea. If I could tell you how much I eat, you wouldn't even believe it. But I think I just probably just wear more and more baggy clothes these days. So you just don't realize what's actually happening underneath there. So don't be fooled. It's all smoke and mirrors, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's a lot like Arsenal. There's good players in the field, but not actually. So it's one of those things.
Oh, okay. Let's get into it. Talk that, talk that nonsense. Talk that heat.
Talk that
heat. Hey, talk that heat. Talk that heat. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's get it going. All right, hey, you opened it up. Let's get it going. Let's start with Arsenal's performance against Man City.
Let's be serious. The game on Wednesday night, I mean, I don't know what that was. I mean, it was Man City just too strong, dominating right where they left off. You're hoping that during I think they had about 80 days to go back to the drawing board mid-season. Arsenal, we're like, okay, guys, work your stuff out. Work what you need to work out, and then come back.
Not a kids show. You can drop those bombs. Not a kids show. You can drop those bombs. Cool. Keep going.
Try this again. You think 80 days, go work your shit out. Go back home and work your shit out and see if you can come back and play proper football. And see if you deserve to be in the EPL. And see if you can move from 9th position as Arsenal. Arsenal, the same Arsenal that the great Thierry Henry played for, that you mentioned earlier. The greatest striker that was in the English Premier League. I do agree with you in that, sir. How does he even watch it and still want to say he played for that team? Because it's just embarrassing what they're doing, and I don't know what's happening. It's a mess all over the place. And honestly, Mulelo, I don't know if you've got time in your day, but I know I don't have the time. But if you have a moment, go have a look if they will be willing to sign you over David Luiz, because I have no idea who isn't better than that.
Hey, can't do it. I'm a Chelsea fan. Listen, David Luiz should come with his own clown suit, right? There should be a clown suit. The part of the signing fee is have a clown suit, because this guy is he's calamitous. So, okay, I like that you're talking that heat now, right? I was reading one of your interviews or listening to one of your interviews about the greatest day in your life was when Man United won the treble. Is that correct?
Well, it was one of my greatest sporting memories. Definitely Manchester United winning the treble, and especially because I remember being at home, sitting with my father and my brother of course, 99, and getting to see those final goals and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just slipping that in, baby-faced, and taking it home in the Champions League, a moment I will never forget. And it was just part of those glory days. I remember starting to really be a big football fan and being a big United fan, and it was thanks to a man called Eric Cantona. Someone who maybe could have featured on your list, maybe, but it was just something where he brought a different flair to the game, and he really made me excited about watching football, playing football, and wanting to emulate what he brought to the game. And I just miss those days when we used to always be that team that you knew was the top team in the world that you just had to try and beat. And I think we've got a long way to go, but at least we have more and more of a structure, but we're still kind of finding our way. But once again, rather that than be an Arsenal fan.
Hey, I couldn't put Cantona in because he's a two-sport guy, right? He's into MMA. He's going to kick a fan in the front row at the stadium and then play football. So I didn't put any dual sport stars.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's more of a Dana White guy.
Yeah,
so
you put Andy Cole in there, so I completely understand.
Hey, Andy Cole, are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
When I say York and Cole, how are you feeling about that?
Oh, man, probably the best duo up front that there ever was.
Comfortably. Hey, I'll concede that. Talk to me about United at the moment. So let's go from the top, right? What do you think of Ed Woodward? And how long does he have? Is he on the clock, or do you think he's doing a good job because he's still bringing the money in for United? What's the story there, Maps?
I don't know. It's hard to have any confidence. I can talk all that talk about Arsenal, but we're not really doing much better on our side. Look, we'll be able to obviously tell a little bit more, but I feel like if fans have any complaints and have any concerns right now about the team, it feels like we're speaking to ourselves anyway. So we'll see how long he has. I think he'll decide how long he has. Might be there for a very long time, might not be, and we'll just have to wait and see. But I think there is time for a bit of a change.
Oh, hey, great transition. I can see you're in the business. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you said there's time for change. How long do you give him? So let me give you a scenario, hypothetical scenario here, Maps, Mr. Big Chest, as they call you. If Man United, hey, you like that, Mr. Big Chest? Yeah. The official Mr. Big Chest.
It's only you that calls me that.
We're going with it. You're here. It's my show. I get to call you whatever I like. Maps, talk to me about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? If he doesn't get Champions League this season, how long do you give him next season before you start to say this thing's not going where we want it?
If he doesn't get Champions League this season, I give him until the end of this season, because then I think it will be confirmation that, you know what, good go. And obviously that run that you had, I forgot how many it was, 12, 13 games, where we were really looking like we were unstoppable and starting to feel like we were playing like the days of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Teddy Sheringham. Great, but now it looks like, nope, we are slipping back further and further and further. And if we once again can have another day another year where we're not in the Champions League and we have to get all this back talk from all these other clubs, and there's going to be Leicester that ends up being in the Champions League instead of us, then I'm sorry, man. We love you, but you're going to have to go.
So, look, we'll carry on with the United stuff. I just wanted to ask you, did your parents send you to St. John's instead of Cares because you didn't want to go into Hillbrow, or what was the story there?
I actually went to Keps. I went to Keps for primary school, and then I just didn't go to. I just didn't go to the high school because they didn't want me to leave with your accent.
Talk that nonsense. You gotta love it. You gotta love. Okay, touche, Maps Maponyane. Gotta love it. Okay, so let's get back to United. I think the crucial question here, Maps, is Paul Pogba. Does he stay or does he go? What are your feeling on Paul Pogba? When do you sell him? This season, next season? Do you give him some time? What are your feelings on Pogba, number one? And how long are you willing to give him?
Do you know what? I was willing to give Pogba quite a while when he came in, and I think he can still bring such a great dynamic to the team. He is when he's on, he's on. When he's not, sadly, you don't even realize that he's on the field. And that's just the sad part. He's either just firing on all cylinders or he's not at all. You get more consistency from a Lingard out there. And honestly, all the players this season haven't really been able to show that consistency and that strength that we want. And I remember when France won the World Cup, and I just thought, now he's going to be even more lax because he's going to think that he's there, they've made it. Imagine Lukaku won the World Cup with Belgium. Imagine what he would have been like, and it's just, it's the same thing. We had to get rid of him ASAP. And look, he's performing now. He's performing as soon as he's left us. He's performing a lot better. And I think Pogba still, he's being Mr. Big Chest on the field, but he isn't delivering the way we need him to. So what do? Do you hang on to him? I don't know. I think you give him a while, you see how well he can do for obviously the remainder of the season, and then I guess you probably let him go while you can still let him go for a good price, because then you need to start finding those great finds, which we've struggled with that for a while. We haven't found a really good, a good find. You mentioned earlier that they bought Thierry Henry for £12.5 million. We haven't been able to produce that as Manchester United in a while, and I think we probably need to look a little bit further to see where those gems are that we can unearth and let go of any kinds of egos that are preventing us from being once great Manchester United. If Pogba doesn't really show his leadership the way he should be, and take us to a new level. So I'm willing to, of course, after all of this, hopefully he's had some introspection. We've all spoken about how lockdown has forced us to all go within and think about our place within society. And hopefully he's been, brought back down a little bit, at least, so that, we don't have De Gea to do all the work for Manchester United, because everything else is a shambles. So we're just waiting for him to try and save as many things as he can.
It has been a genuine shambles for a long, long time, because De Gea, like you're saying, has been your best player. Hey, Paul Pogba's too busy doing TikTok. This is what Pogba's the TikTok guy. Get off TikTok, brother. And so, Matt, my last thing on Pogba is, are you not worried that the injuries, the problem is when you do rely on him, is he's actually now been out really for 2 of the 4 seasons you've had him, right? Does that concern you as a Man United fan, or do you think that the talent is so great that you take the risk?
I think the talent is still there to take the risk. It's not this is a terrible pun, but it's not a sure thing that he'll eventually be injured like Luke. But Pogba still got that. He's of that stock, that great West African stock where he should have the strength to go on a little bit more, take those knocks a little bit harder. And so I would always gamble on him being able to, continue without the injuries and to suck it up a little bit. But I think definitely one more injury and one more setback and one more delay into him really finding that momentum, then it's probably tickets, and we'll have to let him go.
Hey, speaking of the fact that he's from West Africa, maybe that's the problem, is he's eating the French cuisine. He's not eating any jollof. You got to get the goat jollof. You got to get that goat jollof, and then you toughen up those bones so that you don't have polystyrene knees. And Luke Shaw, by the way, he always looks like he lives at Buns Out. Why is Man United left back overweight? It is embarrassing and ridiculous. But listen, let's move on. I've always wanted to ask you, by the way, I knew your brother because we're the only 2 people that had melanin in the South African ski industry for a long time that were actually skiing together. And when I met you before you got those pecs, brother, a long, long time ago, whilst you were still getting educated. But, I've always wondered and wanted to ask you, the shadow of your father, those who don't know, he is the son, and I mean, he is his own man in his own right, but he is the son of the great, truly great. That's an overused word, but the truly great Marx Maponyane. Growing up, was that a shadow you kind of thought, was it too much for you? How did you embrace that? And were you scared to maybe tell other kids who your father is? And how did that affect your relationships with people when you were younger? I'd love to know.
Actually, I like that question, but was I scared to tell my father? Growing up, I just knew my dad as dad. I didn't quite understand what was happening, obviously, at a very young age. Whenever we'd go out to public areas and people were running to him so he could sign things or take photos, I truly just thought, this is obviously before maybe 5 or 6, when you start to get a whole lot more cognition of what's happening. But I truly just thought that my dad maybe was just really popular in school and had a lot of friends. That's what I thought was happening, you know? And I didn't know, like, he was just dad. I didn't know what was going on. And it was as I started to understand, the fact that, I mean, at this point, because now we're talking 96, he had just started in 92 to start playing for Orlando Pirates. So I'd say around 94, when I was around 4 years old, I started realizing what was happening, because I was playing a lot of football, started playing football from the age of 2 years old, and you start to understand just how amazing it is to see these players that you look up to on the screen. And I was like, oh damn, that's my dad. Okay, great, cool. But I still didn't quite put together the fame part of things, you know. And that's how I actually became a big Orlando Pirates fan, because I grew up with him playing for Pirates. And then you start to understand the history and gravitas of it all, going from Kaizer Chiefs to Pirates, captaining both teams, being a striker for both teams, setting records on both teams. And then you try and become your own footballer with that kind of record behind you, and then it's just something else altogether. It was an interesting thing for my brother and I. We loved football. We were passionate about football. He was a defender, I was a striker, but I'd play a really good game, score 2 goals, set up 3 chances, and without doubt, from 8 years old, 9 years old, I'd come off the field, probably even younger, and I'd come off the field and someone would have said, oh, your dad would have scored 3 goals and set up 5 chances, you know? You're just not quite him. And the entire time, that was always what would happen. He was well known for his bicycle kick. And I would, someone would cross the ball in, and I'd be there, perfect. Volley or header. Come off the field, your dad would have done a bicycle kick, man. You obviously just don't have that thing. And then you end up thinking, am I actually doing this for myself? Or am I, constantly just trying to impress other people? And the irony is that my dad couldn't have cared less. He just wanted my brother and I to be active and have fun. And we both played for Wits, and we got pretty far playing for Wits University. And then we just realized that it wasn't our journeys at all, and it was something, obviously it was a tough pill to swallow, but we just needed to find ourselves. Because you mentioned that I used to tell kids growing up and everything, but my dad wasn't. I never mentioned it because from an early age, as soon as I worked out what that meant, I was very cognizant of who was, a real friend and who wasn't. Mm-hmm. What have you possibly got to gain from this, and what might you be looking for instead of just being a genuine friend? And so I've always just kept that to myself. I've got friends who only found out about 5 to 10 years into our friendship, who my father was, and it's always great to know that those kinds of things are genuine. And it was just important for my brother and I to pave our own paths. And you speak about being snowboarders. I mean, my brother being a professional snowboarder, coming from South Africa, learning to snowboard Lesotho of all places, and then being able to represent South Africa on the slopes shows you the keenness to really try and pave our own path, no matter how hard. We just wanted to be our own people. And it was just great to have learned the lessons from my dad about, going after what you want, backing yourself. And that's something that he always did really well. And it was great to have been able to have him as a mentor for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And I think you've told some hard truths. Everybody might look at it from the outside. It's like, hey, he's Max Maponyane son, his life's great. But these are real things. When very few people in the history of mankind have been genetically what your father is and been as famous, nobody thinks that kids just see a dad. And for you, it must have been, everybody thinks it's an easy ride. And what you've just said is it's both haunting and enlightening at the same time.
Do you never spare a thought sometimes for Messi's kids? I mean, I look at them right now and I'm just like, oof, God. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
The only way is to be a monk. Like the right move is move to Tibet. You got to move to Tibet at 15 and then disappear, because everything you do, even if you're an accountant, your dad would have done that accurately. You make one mistake. Your dad would have, I mean, you know what I mean?
I think the only hope they have is if they're not going to be great footballers just like they did, which they won't be, because there will never be another Lionel Messi. They're going to have to find those things that maybe he wasn't good at. So hopefully they have incredible, maybe incredible science minds, or at least, at the very least, incredible style of some sort.
Hey, boy, one of the two. I mean, what are we doing here? Look, we can forgive you, but you still Leo Messi's kid. So one of the two. I mean, what are we doing here? Listen, and we're going to stick with a little bit of the sports. Mats, I appreciate you, bro. This has been electric. It's been an electric convo so far.
Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate your open. Talk to me about the Laureus Sport for Good. because that's something else that you do on top of everything else you do. What is it? And what are you guys up to there? Because I love everything that the Laureus sort of organization does, but what is the Laureus Sport for Good?
So the Laureus Sport for Good Foundation is essentially an organization that focuses on supporting sporting programs throughout the world. And of course, I focus on the South African one. And we have numerous programs, around 60 programs here, where we focus on essentially using sport as a means to provide social skills for kids, keep them off the street, give them recreational activity to be able to, learn about their lives, learn about the world, stay safe, be able to safeguard themselves and their lives, be able to learn, or be able to have opportunities that can essentially ensure that they get to a certain place in life, to keep them away from all the tragedies that are happening in the country where, people are not having opportunities. Well, kids are not having opportunities. They're not having access to sports, and they're not getting a fair amount of time to realize who they possibly could be because of being strangled of resources in their immediate communities. There's various different, sporting codes that we focus on to be able to try and empower kids in a big way and help them learn great lessons and skills about life. There's boxing for girls. There's a great organization called Waves for Change, which is also a part of Laureus, which is a surfing organization in Cape Town, and that focuses on taking kids from Khayelitsha. There's all sorts of amazing organizations that focuses on really uplifting kids as much as possible and uplifting the possibilities of where they could go in their lives. They provide meals, they provide homework and educational support. It's really something that is holistic, and it's really about showing how sport has the power to change the world, but from a very early age, if you're exposed to sports, just how much extra value you can add to your life in the smallest ways that you don't realize, and beyond just those physical, literal, practical skills, but also life skills that can really change or shape you in a big way. And it's something that's really important, especially when we can see that the significant moral decay right now in our country, and there has been for a very long time, but we're seeing so much crime, so much gender-based violence, and it's those kinds of things that you lack the opportunity of at a young age, where you're not able to see more to life. When you go into certain activities that are criminal, it's because you've kind of lost hope, and there's nowhere else to turn, and there's no one else who you've ever seen essentially care for you too, and it's a place where kids can feel safe in these various programs, and it's an environment that we try and create for them to feel like they can honestly have people who care about them, that are willing to play a significant part in their life, and that they have so much potential, and that of course they are loved, and that they have they have the possibilities, and that the world is their oyster, and it doesn't matter where they come from, there is that chance, and then there is that level of hope, and there is just that, I think, that inkling of you can be whatever it is that you want.
Hey, Maps. Hey. Get out of town, bro. There's two questions I have after what you just did right there. Number one, have you considered running for president? All right, I'll let you answer both of these together. And number two, how can people get involved? Is there a place to get involved with that, with the Laureus Sport for Good? How do we get involved there if people are, because there's lots of people who want to help. Sometimes guys don't have time, they're at work, but they have time if they know where to go. How can they get involved and get behind that? Because I love sport. Maps, all I know is sport, right? A little bit of TikTok with Paul Pogba every now and then, but I'll do sport as well. So number one, have you considered being president? How do we get a hold of Laureus Sport for Good?
Number one, absolutely not, and I never will, especially if there's ever going to be another pandemic, because that is probably the toughest time to be president, as if it isn't ruthless enough already. But definitely commend our leadership in trying to ensure that we have some sort of pathway or roadmap for everything that's happening, where we're all working it out together. It must be one of the toughest times to be in that position, and I definitely don't envy Cyril Ramaphosa at all. Number two, if anyone wants to be able to find out more information about Laureus, be it to support, to volunteer in any kind of way, go to www.laureus.co.za, www.laureus.co.za. It actually might be Laureus Sport, but it will come up even if you obviously pop it into Google, and you can be able to find support there. You can be able to find contacts there, or forms that you could fill in to be a volunteer, or see if there are any kinds of vacancies of how you can perhaps enroll yourself as being one of the counselors for the programs. If you have your own program, if you want to sign up your program to see if we can add support to your program, to add it to our Laureus family, also somehow to be able to contribute. There's all the information that you're looking for, and it really is a magnificent organization to be a part of.
Awesome. I tell you what, email me all the details. We'll put it in the description below the link, and people need to get involved. Great. If you have time, nobody's saying you have to, but if you can, get involved. So email me the details, and we'll certainly make sure it's in the description with the talk. Hey, Maps, I saw you delivering food from buns out. Like when you did that, right? Were women just passing out? When like, hey, like when you were giving them the food, were they just passing out immediately? What's the response like when your delivery guy is Maponyane himself?
Look, the response has been quite interesting. It's actually quite a strange time in life. I think I should actually change my bio to the most followed delivery man in the world. But like that's just become my way of life to ensure that I can keep my business going, my business strong. I think of a lot of the value touch points of what we offer as Banzard, and we offer an incredible experience, something and somewhere where people feel like they can go. Of course, amazing food, or great quality food more than anything else, really great quality burgers. And also, we want to be as involved as possible in terms of the team at the top. So myself and my partner, we would try to be there as much as possible, and I try and be there as much as possible. And it's great to be able to have those conversations with customers that come in, and a lot of them say, "Oh, I was really looking forward to bumping into you. It's great to see that you are at your own restaurant, and it's not just something that you are, the face of. That you're here, you're involved, you're making." You're making the food in the kitchen, you're serving, you are a waiter as well, and you're having conversations with us. And I just thought a lot of people come back because they love that experience. And so if we're going to be delivering, how do you still ensure that experience? Cool, we'll take care of the quality of the food and all of that. But obviously you want to have that element of, will I possibly still be able to see him and have those conversations and see him being involved? And I thought it was important for me to also further extend that gratitude to say, thank you so much. We're so serious and we're so grateful for your business that, we want to be the ones to come and give you burgers. I want to be the one that gets in my car and delivers the burger to you, because this is something that I know I'm passionate about and I'm enjoying, and it's been unprecedentedly successful for us. And being so young in terms of the fact that we only closed at 5 months old when it was locked down, then you have a very small chance of survival. And we want to make sure that we do make it through and we do stay on top of mind, and that you do remember the things we did during lockdown to ensure that we stayed in touch, and that we did whatever we could in different ways. And we've been fortunate to have thought of different programs as well. So there's some people who, when they ask me specifically to deliver, will have a slight premium on delivery, but that is for charity, and we give meals every single day to the Guild Cottage in South Africa. So we make meals for them too in Joburg. We make meals for them too, and that's part of our way of wanting to be able to contribute as well, beyond just trying to survive and make any kind of possible profit during this time, which is impossible. We just want to show that it's really about the whole community that supports Banzar, but the whole community that has always got our backs, and we want to be able to help those that don't have the opportunity to look after themselves too.
That's awesome. And creating jobs. Hey, you were somewhere before this. Dude, before I let you go, because I could just tattoo you forever. You were on another set. You were on another set, and you come to this. You're the busiest guy, because I've been watching you for a while now, bro. 2-3 years. You're the hardest working guy out there. Between you and Vusi Tembagwayo, I'd say it's a good fight. Hardest working guy out there. Where were you before this?
She's another accent I'm glad I avoided. So I had I was doing shoots.
He's a savage. He's a savage. He's a savage.
I was shout out to him. He's great. Great guy. Great guy. Fantastic guy. We I've been doing this shoot for Channel O. We're doing a new show, and it's a new kind of lockdown party show, so to speak. And so we were shooting on set right now, and we were wrapping at 7:30. And I'm like, guys, I've got an interview that I have to be on at 7:30
on a big time sports show.
Sorry. And then on a big time sports show, I told them, dog. I told them. They were like, with who? And I'm like, with Mulelo. And they're like, all right, then you have to leave.
Clip that.
Then you got to go.
Dave, clip that. Clip that. We want to clip that. That's Maponyane said we're a big time sports show.
So we literally wrapped at 7:30, and then I quickly checked connection at 7:40, and then I quickly drove home to make sure that I could be here sitting to be able to speak with the best internet connection I could have so that we could have this interview. And I didn't want to miss it. And I appreciate you having me on the show. I respect you so much, man. You're incredible at what you do. I love your tenacity. I love the fact that you are just so well versed in all things sport. My kind of guy, and I really love the quality of your presentation. In fact, it's not even. It's for you. It's just like it's who you are. I love the quality of what you know, of your knowledge, and what you bring to each and every person watching and listening. So shout out to you. Keep up the great work, and hopefully we'll be back soon, and hopefully we'll finish higher than Chelsea.
Well, listen, Maps, I just want to speak on my part. The Chelsea thing's ridiculous. But, you know, we all get out of bed one foot at a time. I'm just a guy, you know, I'm just like you. I get out of bed one left foot, right foot, and, you know, I get my cup of coffee.
Speak for yourself.
You know, I don't want to say I'm great, but you've just said it for me. So, hey, Maps, before we take some questions, how much do you bench press? Just give me the number. How much do you bench press?
What?
How much do you bench press?
Do you know what? I would shock you. I'm not a big gym guy. I'm just a body. I do a lot of bodyweight training and running and stuff. So I don't have a number for you because I'm not a weights guy.
You know
but
what?
I will start bench pressing so I can give you a number.
Yeah, I expect results. You must deliver. I'm gonna start working on my summer body now. Then by December, people will be like, hey, is that Maps Maponyane? Because I'm going to work on it. Bro, I appreciate you. Let's take some questions, Dave, before we let this man go. Do we have anything for Maps? All right, Maps, how many relationships ended because she was a Pirates fan? Or a Chiefs fan?
What? Or a Chiefs fan, you mean? None. Yeah. Thankfully, each of the races I've been in, whether the women have been big fans of football, have been Pirates fans. So I'm glad about that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a relationship. It happens in the interview process.
Oh man! But what else we got? We got Jacques Joubert says, just admitted, Maps, Arsenal is a dead horse. That's brutal.
I mean that's brutal. Easy, right? I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah. What's the question?
All right. Senzo says, Kun Aguero's son, your dad is Kun, your grandfather is Maradona. That's a tough life, Maps. So that's really someone burying you.
That's a tough life.
Yeah, that's someone saying, hey, Maps, harden up.
And I know Senzo. Senzo's my boy. Senzo's a big fan of this show, and he's probably the only other person I know who knows. I'd say even just about as much as you. Maybe even you guys can go head to head.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy.
I've done a couple of sports quizzes with him, and we've managed to come out on top because of his contribution. So I actually need to invite you to those things. But shout out to Senzo. Give that guy a shout out because he definitely loves what you do.
Yeah. And he's quality. Listen, last one before I let you go. Maps, did I tell you to agree with everything I say before you came to the show? That's the question.
I don't even know what I have agreed with besides that we agree that Arsenal is a dead horse.
Yeah, thank you. On that note, cut
so
it there.
So no, the answer is no.
Cut it there. We're going to clip there. He didn't. I'm just as good as I am. Maps Maponyane, listen, brother. I appreciate everything you're doing. And, when you get to a certain level of success, I'm sure you hear negativity, and you don't need to hear it from me. Keep your head down, because everything that's great that you do, we're watching, right? We're watching. And there's some of us, many of us, the young ones, they're coming behind you. So keep doing what you're doing and keep taking it to the next level, bro. That's a game changer. Guys like you are changing the game. So thank you very much, Maponyane. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Big Chest, Mr. I won't adopt that accent, Mr. I won't go into Hillbrow ever again, because I'm a St. John's guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Maponyane, I appreciate you, brother. Send me those details. We'll put it in the description. Please email me those details. Love that guy. All right, Maps, be well, brother. Fantastic. What a great chat. He is the busiest guy out there. And he says Arsenal are a dead horse. Wow. Great chat. Great chat. Maps Maponyane, ladies and we will definitely get him back, because I think he has a bit more to say about Manchester United. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot to say about Man United. Before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, different ball game. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate all the questions, everybody putting it in. Let's take some questions. Dave, before we get out of here, it's Friday night. Everybody wants to go and enjoy something, maybe with 2 rocks, maybe a cold beer. Before we let you go, let's get a question. What we got here? One for Vody. Bricklin says, Mbulelo, rate my dream Springbok backline. 9 Cheslin Colby, 10 Cohen Bosch, 11 Apiwa Janti, 12 Damian Willemse, 13 Warwick Galant, 14 Tambwe, 15 Apelele Fasi. Jeez, I'll let you, Vody, I'll let you take that and I'll answer it as well.
I can go with Apelele Fasi. I think he's good. I just think he's still too young. Damian Willemse at 12 is not the worst thing that I've heard in my life. I could deal with him then. I think he would probably be better at 12 than he is at 10 at the moment. Dayanti probably won't play rugby again, and Cohen Bosch is pretty good 10. He's been really controlling that Sharks back line, and he's been such a general in that line. His kicking is good. He can work a little bit on his defense. I wouldn't necessarily pick those people at my Springbok back line, but for where they're playing and in those positions, I could deal with those 3.
Oh, hey, where's Lucanio Am and Mapimpi? Immediately, yeah. I say that. So, Brooklyn, not your best work, but it's probably the most electrifying backline you could have in South Africa. That is an unbelievably exciting backline. What's the next question, Dave? Great question, by the way. I like that one. Alrighty, let's see what's next. Tambwe, Fasi, Galant, Willemse, Dianti.
Dianti,
Senzo says,
don't think he's...
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. I mean, that's its own thing. I don't even want to deal with that. Crusaders, one of the greatest dynasties in world sport.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree. I mean, you think of the Patriots. They dominated for 20 years, 9 Super Bowls, 6 wins for Tom Brady. The Crusaders have been dominating right from the beginning, right? Think Todd Blackadder. That's 20 years ago. I was still in school then. That's how long they've been great. Not good, great. Absolutely. Senzo, I'd have to agree with you there. Vody, your thoughts?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I love the Crusaders.
Right,
I've always loved them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're an absolute machine. Senzo is giving me his top 5. He says Shearer is the best. Wayne Rooney is second best. Andy Cole at number 3. Kun Aguero at number 4. Number 5, Thierry Henry. Wow, that is aggressive. To have Wayne Rooney in the top 10 is aggressive. To have Wayne Rooney ahead of Thierry Henry is blasphemous. To have Wayne Rooney ahead of Andy Cole is blasphemous. To have Wayne Rooney ahead of Kun Aguero is blasphemous. Alan Shearer, you can always just have the easy argument of he has the most goals, I guess. Although he hasn't won the most titles. He's only won one with Blackburn. So, okay. I mean, don't love it because Thierry Henry is the best player to ever play in the Premier League. But hey, strong list. You know, other than Wayne Rooney, I think the Rooney thing's ridiculous. Got anything else from you, Dave? Jacques Jabert says, Blues to beat the Chiefs, Crusaders to win their game. Your thoughts, Woude Muller? That's Jacques Botha. Or Jacques Jabert, sorry.
I'm not so sure if the Blues are going to beat the Chiefs. I'm not going to back that. The Chiefs are playing at home. Yeah, I'm going to back the Chiefs Crusaders to win their game for sure.
Wow. Jacques Jabet, he's got a Chelsea flag as his avatar, so he must know what he's talking about. And we agree, because I think the Crusaders are going to make mincemeat of everybody. They're unbelievably coached. They're deep. They got the best coach in the world. They got the best hooker in the world. They got the best fly half in the world. They're going to be unbelievable. Woude Muller, great show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for joining us again. Woude, have a great weekend. To everybody at home, have a great weekend. I cannot wait to get out this weekend, exercise a little bit, keep it loosey-goosey, try and get that summer body going. To all of you at home, stay loved, stay safe, and just be loved. That's what I'm about. I've had a great day. I've had a great week. It's the end of our first week as a different ball game, and we've got through it. Remember, every single day, Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 8:30, we will be here. We are changing the sporting landscape forevermore. Africa is now ready to have world-class content delivered on the sporting front. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am MKT. She was Woude Muller. I look forward to seeing you on Monday. With that, folks, it was a different ball game.